What's up, everybody? Welcome back to twitch.tv/regulargamingguys _ This course is your home for regular gamers. But today is Tuesday, so that means today is anime day. Talking all things anime and all things that we love and don't necessarily so much love. And we're talking about it today on our show. This is the weekly hour and a half segment that me and Mitch do, where, like I said, we talk about all things that we care about as far as like in the anime sphere. That being said, hit this record button. A little bit of housekeeping. Today marks the second day since asking Modelo for a sponsorship. Hashtag Modelo sponsor RGG. If you are on Twitter, please go to Mike Nike 093. Like, retweet, share, all that stuff. Hit up Modelo, let them know. We're trying to get the Modelo to sponsor us.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now put Modelo sponsor RGG in all my TikToks.
There you go. Anything that you do on social media from here on out, hashtag Modelo sponsor RGG. We'll get them to pay attention to us eventually.
Eventually, right? It's gonna be a while.
Through your power combined, we can become Captain Modelo. All right, we can get Modelo to sponsor us.
Fair enough.
All right. Second bit of housekeeping. Of course, you've got we got our boy Night here. He hangs out. He's in the chat like literally all the time. He's officially, for a while he's been talking about doing some syrup stuff. He's been making maple syrup. Been talking about finishing up and wrapping it up for the last few weeks now. He has some officially available. You can go and hit him up if you are in our Discord. If you're watching this live on Twitch, do exclamation point to Discord to the chat. That'll get you the link to the Discord. You can hit Night up in there. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to take orders, and he ships it out for you.
Have you got
all the pricings and everything? Yeah, I got some coming in. He told me that it should be here hopefully by this weekend. So we'll have some. Yeah, we'll have some available for this weekend. I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna.
This week is not your birthday.
No. Next weekend. Yeah, next week's my birthday. But I'm happy that we'll have it here for the actual birthday stream and everything. Of course, normal stuff. Stream scheduled this week. Me and Mitch today, anime. Probably gonna play some Horizon later. We'll see. Probably gonna do some other things. We'll see. Thursday, you got me, Brandon, and Dalton. Of course, we're running into some more Elden Ring. We're gonna be watching.
When are y'all gonna beat that game?
That's what I was about to talk about. Actually, that's what I was about to talk about. Actually, because we are. I think all three of us are finally at a point now where we can actually start really progressing through the story. I think as far as story is concerned, I think the one that's furthest behind is Brandon.
Okay.
So we're going. Because me and Dalton kind of just continued story beats. So the way the game works, if you play the game, Mitch, exploring inevitably leads to finding new areas, which inevitably leads to accidentally bumping into cutscene areas, which leads you to accidentally having to fight bosses because you have 62,000 runes that you have now lost to this boss, and you don't have a way to take them out of this boss room because this is a story boss room and not a regular runaway boss room. So I'm gonna see if Brandon's cool with running a stream on Thursday, and that way we can get his perspective and see everything from his side. Because I think up to this point, everybody has seen. I think where everybody is as far as story goes, stream has seen everything. So definitely, come back, and we're gonna continue to do our playthrough of Elden Ring. That'll probably then lead into some Call of Duty or something eventually. And then of course Friday, me and Dalton. Probably running more Elden Ring. This game has completely taken over our entire channel, man. I think once finally one of us beat it, we'll finally kind of wane off and start to go towards other things. The problem is right now, I don't think there's really anything out right now that
that's all it is. There's nothing. There's no multiplayer or something similar to that we can all play. Multiple people can play.
Thank you, yeah, there's something that's really else that has grabbed and that has also grabbed our attention the same way Elden Ring has grabbed our attention. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
Yeah, no, we'll be running that. Go ahead.
You think Elden Ring gets game of the year?
Oh, 100%, bro. I think, and I've had this conversation with people several times. And of course, this is supposed to be the anime podcast, not the game one, or anime show, not the game show. But anyway, we'll talk about it right now. I definitely think Elden Ring wins Game of the Year.
Elden Ring is similar to anime. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. As a matter of fact, you have that TikTok still?
Which one?
The Titan Titan one. Yeah, send it to me on Discord. See if you can send it to me on Discord.
All right.
No, to answer your question, do I think Elden Ring wins Game of the Year? There's only one other game right now that I think can beat Elden Ring for Game of the Year. Or there's two. There's technically 2 games. There were 3, but unfortunately, Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed till next year, spring of next year. So we have the 2 games that I think could possibly beat it are God of War and Starfield. The problem with both of these games, right? The biggest problem with both of these games are that they are both exclusives. God of War, of course. No, send it to me. Send it to my messenger.
I'm gonna figure out how to do that right now.
Just find my name and send it to me.
I got it.
Yeah. The problem is that God of War is a PlayStation exclusive. Starfield. Ryan, what up? Starfield is an Xbox exclusive, right? And so with both of these, you're already cutting your audience in half with both those games. Whereas Elden Ring is a multi-plat game. Sure, it's not cross-play, but it's a multi-platform game that just naturally broadens your horizons for a number of people that can actually play the game. The other thing with it is that I don't think Elden Ring right now is a moment in time. Elden Ring right now has people that have never played a From Software game playing a From Software game.
That is true. That is true.
Like, I'm not a big From Software fan. And like, I dream, like I've literally, Mitchell, this is not even me joking. I've literally had dreams about me playing this game.
Yeah, Mike, that's an obsession.
Since playing, dude. I've had dreams about playing this game since playing it or whatever. But no, I think this is just a huge moment in time, right? And then you also, so then look at the 2 that I said, God of War and
I just sent it to you.
Okay, cool. Okay. God of War and Starfield, right? Starfield, I don't think Starfield's going to be the game that gets people that don't play Bethesda games normally to play Bethesda games.
Fair.
And then God of War, the same thing with God of War, right? Everybody going
from God of War.
Exactly. You're just getting more of what you got before. So
they have to do something spectacular to actually pull.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Because the first game was really good, but like Elden Ring has been that shit's been the talk of the town. I've never seen a game traverse so long on TikTok.
Yeah.
I've never seen a game so. I mean, like you got Rocket League and shit like that. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be.
Yeah, you of course have like game TikTok and everything.
Any new game between if it's on TikTok for that long, the past couple, TikTok's been here for a little while. Yeah. If it's on TikTok for like at least for a couple of months, there's a real chance that it has Game of the Year. Prime example, Spider-Man. Yeah, that won Game of the Year. That was on TikTok for a minute.
No, Spider-Man that year. Spider-Man didn't win Game of the Year. What won Game of the God of War won Game? No, Spider-Man got beat out by God of War. 2018 was a banger of a year, bro. 2018 had some hits. No, 2018 had some hits. God of War took out.
There's no Spider-Man Game of the Year edition?
There is a Game of the Year edition, but just because you have a Game of the Year edition doesn't mean...
That's why I thought they won.
So here's the problem with Game of the Year, right? We could technically start up a Game of the Year, right? And if we awarded, I mean, granted, we're not a news outlet, but if we awarded,
they can say it's second opinion versus. It's like everyone being the #1 movie in America.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing. So
it's like all the cheerleaders winning nationals.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. let's go with that. But no, I don't think God of War can. I think. If this was 2018's God of War, I think that might be able to beat out Elden Ring. But the problem, God of War right now is already fighting with itself.
Yeah.
Like it's already fighting against itself because it's like watching the trailers. It's like, all right, I know what's coming. Or this looks like more of what I got before, which isn't bad, right? What we got in 2018 was great. It was phenomenal. Yeah. Like I loved it, right? But how are you going to innovate on that? How are they going to change things up? How are they going to mix it up? How are they going to add some new stuff to it? Yeah, it's got to be pretty intense and pretty wild. So to answer your question, I do think it's going to win a Game of the Year. I don't think anything. The only other thing that I think, the last thing that I think could really actually beat it out would probably be Breath of the Wild. But the problem with Breath of the Wild is it similar to God of War? Is it's kind of fighting against itself, and it's not coming out until next year. So, delayed.
Are you about to show the TikTok I sent you?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I will do it here. Yeah, exactly, Dalton. Yeah, Dalton says, I don't see how it could. I don't see how it couldn't. To be honest, even if another perfect game is released, Elden Ring just blew what everyone thought of Souls game could be out of the water, and that is 100%. 100%. Vago, what's good? Rhyme, what's good? I know I said what's up to everybody before. Dalton, what's good? Dalton says, Mike, I dream every night that I find a seal somewhere and become an incantation caster in real life.
I'm weak.
You were talking about so Nintendo makes some crazy changes. I don't know, man. I don't think Breath of the Wild is going to be as innovative as people think. Two brothers. What's good, Vago? But yeah, I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be as innovative as people think. Let me pull up this TikTok real quick. Mitch sent me this TikTok the other day that we thought was like fucking phenomenal. Hold on. Shush.
Go away. I'm not playing right now.
So they took the and this actually kind of has something to do with anime, you know?
Yeah.
This is something to do with anime.
The reason why I said Elden Ring is kind of like anime is because like the fucking flash step they have and like all the movement in the game is very anime-like-ish.
Oh yeah, dude. All like any of the samurai shit is all anime. It's anime as fuck. Tell them RGG sent you. That shit is clean as a bitch, bro. I really liked that. I thought that was really funny. That actually leads us right into there you go. That actually leads us right into news, because news is kind of short this week. We don't have a whole lot of like anime news to really talk about too much. No, Ron, you're good actually, because there was no big news, AOT news. There was no episode this past week, as everybody knows. So there wasn't an episode last week. They postponed it to this weekend for Anime Japan 2022. It's an expo where they announce a bunch of different, like, you know, it's like essentially like E3 for anime over in Japan. And so they pushed it back to this Sunday, so it'll be so we'll have our last episode of part 2 of the season 4 this Saturday, or this Sunday. So we'll be watching that. Of course, next Tuesday we'll be doing the full review for it and everything. A lot of fans were hoping for news from Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan was there. We did get Attack on Titan news. The news is, guess what? Season 4 is getting a Blu-ray release. Round of applause. Round of applause, everybody. Round of applause. We're gonna round of applause that. No. You didn't know that was gonna happen? We didn't know that was happening?
No.
We didn't know? No, we didn't think that was gonna happen? Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. There was absolutely, positively no news about a movie or what's gonna happen with the rest of the season, right? So for those of you that don't know, real quick, to give kind of backstory, you know, we've talked about it like pretty much every week. Bit of a backstory. Of course, Attack on Titan has 139 episodes or 139 chapters as of airing, I think, last weekend, which would be episode 86. They've only covered up to 129. I think with 87 they will have covered 130. So we have 9 chapters that we have not seen yet. We have no idea what's going to happen in these 9 chapters. We have no idea what's going to happen in the end of this.
Or maybe the next week, just like a fucking 2-hour long episode.
But I feel like they should say something. They should say that. No, this does not need to be a surprise.
Hey, man.
This does not need to be a surprise.
This whole series has been a surprise, for real.
That's cool that the whole series has been a surprise, but like, this needs to be announced, right? Like,
I mean, I feel you on
capitalize on this moment, right?
They don't, but I mean,
Mitchell, when I tell you
in their defense, Mike, they don't have to capitalize on this moment. They already have the viewers enveloped into the whole series. They don't have to do anything. They're not losing people. They're not going to lose enough people. There might be somebody who goes, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it. Fuck it." Not enough people are going to say that to really downplay what they're about to do, dude. They can wait as long as they want to wait. We would all love it. It would be great for them to do, but they don't have to do anything. because they're
Yeah,
not going to lose enough fans.
I mean, I guess you're right that they're not going to lose any fans, but I feel like it's a disservice to people that have been on this show or been following this show since what, 2013, 2014?
For sure, but money talks, and they don't give a fuck about the small guy. Most people don't.
It's just fucking bullshit, bro. I think after next week, we're going to determine after next week, we will determine whether or not we're going to just say fuck it and read it, or if we are actually going to wait. If there is, hopefully, like Vago said in the chat, hopefully there's an announcement after the end of the final episode. Or they may do something later this week, right? So I think if I remember correctly, when the week of the final episode airing for part 1 of season 4, they came out earlier in the week and said, hey, they put out a teaser trailer for part 2, and then they put out the actual trailer for part 2 at the end of whatever episode that was. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get the same thing, get the same news. If not, like I said, put it this way, if Sunday comes out and they don't say anything, bro,
it's reading it.
It's reading time. And it'll be reading clock. And since that's the case, what I think we'll do, Mitch, is because I would like to see if we can get, because I know Nesto has finished it. I know Quad has finished it. I'd like to see if we can get them two back on to see if they would be willing to sit down with us and talk about their thoughts on the ending or whatever. Or we can get some other people in chat that want to pop in, if they want to pop in to sit and talk with it on chat and everything. We can discuss the ending and everything.
Fair enough.
I want to see what happens. I legitimately want to see what happens. I'm anxious for this show. As far as other anime news, I think we talked about it already. This is like super old. Of course, the Dragon Ball superhero movie got delayed till indefinitely. Actually, we have no idea when that's coming out. It was supposed to be April of this year. We now have no idea when it's coming out. I believe it got delayed due to some form of hacks. I thought I had one other anime story. Or anime news story anyway.
My Hero, Black Clover.
I
Demon
don't
Slayer.
think that's it. No, last week we talked about. Yeah, it was last week because we talked about Jujutsu Kaisen. So no,
yeah.
I don't have anything else. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it for news, guys. Thanks for watching the news segment. All right. So last week, we're trying to do something new with the anime guys. Speak from that shit. Exactly. We're trying to do something new with the regular anime guys show, quote unquote show, if you want to call it that. We were trying to figure out ways to add more value and more like entertainment to the actual show itself. And so what better way to do that than, with like a review-esque type series, right? So last week we decided that we were going to watch Akira. Well, Mitchell was kind of forcibly told to watch Akira. Yes. I told him that we were going to watch it.
I didn't want to do it.
And so we watched Akira. The movie that came out, the animated I don't want to say, would you call it a cult classic or just a regular classic, right? A classic, right?
What was the first option?
A cult classic or a regular classic?
Fuck is a cult classic.
Like only a specific group of people like this movie.
No, that's a classic.
It's like a regular classic.
Yeah,
you think enough people like this movie to call it a classic?
I mean, from what you told me, it was the biggest game changer back in the 80s for America. It was the fucking best box office. I don't know how it was, but it was. So I would give it. It's a
cult. Oh, it's a cult. Is it a cult or cult? It's a cult, right? Okay, a cult. I thought it was a cult.
I don't even know what it is.
Hey, this is the regular anime guys, the regular genius guys. All right, we're expected to guys, come on, all right, come on, all right. Mitch, I want to start with you, bro, because I feel like you've got some feelings about Akira, right? I feel like you got some feelings that you want to talk about, some things that you want to say. And I'm interested, as somebody who is like completely unfamiliar with the property, right? I have, for a little bit of backstory on myself real quick, I have seen it like at least once all the way through. It's been some years since I've seen it once all the way through. But I have seen it all the way through. And so this was like the second or third time watching this all the way through. As somebody who hasn't seen it or who has no idea what you were expecting going in.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts prior, and then what are your thoughts afterwards?
I didn't really have any initial expectation going in of the movie. I mean, what's it called? I don't know if you told me before that it was like it did really well. Pretty sure you did. It did really well in box office and everything like that. So I mean, I thought it was going to be like good for what it's worth. And I'm going to be honest with you, did not enjoy it for real. Because when I watch anime, I watch for one of two things. If I'm not watching for the fights, which is what I normally go for, it's for the storyline. And this storyline was so incredibly difficult to follow from beginning to end. I mean, you could kind of see what the story was, but for the most part, there's a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of like open doors that are still there. Like I have no idea why this route went this way at all. It's very confusing. And I mean, I wouldn't watch it again personally, but don't just take my word for it. I mean, again, it did revolutionize the 80s, and the animation style itself is very good. It's just the storyline for me wasn't good enough for me to ever watch that movie again. And again, it's not enough fighting or storyline for me to watch it again. But it's not terrible, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's one thing that I will say that's really impressive with this movie. I think I have to second your opinion on the fact that like I feel like it has a very strong start, very strong ending, but a very muddled middle part. Yep. And the middle part, unfortunately, is where all like the really important bits come into play, right?
Stuff where we need to know.
Yeah, it's where you start to have issues with like you don't get the bits. Like there's so much that they're trying to pack in. Yeah. Into like this like 2 hour time frame that they don't actually have an opportunity to get all that stuff in.
It makes sense. I mean, my thing about like my biggest thing about the storyline is that normally if I'm watching a story, I would like to be tied to the characters. I had zero emotion towards any of these characters. I didn't care what happened to any of them, to be honest. I really did not. Kaiser, stop. I didn't really care what happened to him. I lost my train of thought because of Kaiser.
You're good.
Go ahead, and I'm going to come back to you.
No, you're good. Yeah, you said you really didn't have any kind of connection to them. I did find myself kind of struggling with both Kamida and Tetsuo's like. I found myself struggling with caring about what either one of them were doing at any given time, right? Like it was a bit of a struggle. Like I will say I was more interested in following Tetsuo's story. Of course, because like that's where the powers and the abilities kind of like lied, and like the mythical aspect of it kind of lied. But but it wasn't enough to like really keep me going. Like I told you,
that's what I'm saying.
Like I told you over the phone, watching it this time around, right? The first time I watched it, because I had no idea what was coming, you watch it all the way through. You're kind of sitting there, you're just, you hear for years that people say this is so good, this is the greatest thing ever. You said you watch it, you kind of just watch it all the way through. With this being like my second time, I watched most of it, and then like I told you on Sunday, me and Cylinder were watching it. I fell asleep 40 minutes into it.
Yep.
Woke back up. Finished it today, and then halfway or after 30 minutes after finishing the first 40 minutes or whatever, if my math adds up right, I fell asleep again. Woke back up, had to like rewind back and start over or whatever. It just and it's that middle portion, right? It's that middle portion where they're trying to explain how everything is like tied together. They're trying to talk about like the corruption that's happening in the government with the the experimentation on the kids, and how like why is Kaneda at where he's at, like they're trying to do all this, but they do it very sloppily.
For what it's worth, based off that YouTube video we did watch afterwards, that video we did watch afterwards, it was packing the first half. I think it said the beginning of the movie is the first chapter, and the end of the movie is the last chapter.
Yeah.
And then everything else in between is supposed to cover the 6 chapters in total. Yeah. And it says the book itself the 6 chapters of the manga themselves do a very good job explaining everything. More people have screen time, and it explains the story a whole lot better. But it felt very packed all into one. And again, they were just trying to do too much in that little time frame. But again, for what it's worth, for them to do it back in it was a anime back in the 80s, dude. It's still, for what it's worth, pretty good job what they had.
Animation style, yeah. With all that being said, if you want to grade this on like an animation scale, right? Like the animation still to this day looks fucking phenomenal, right?
For it to be where it's at, for it to be the year, for it to be 88.
Yeah,
I would have thought that came out in like the early 2000s. Gonna be honest with you, it was very good.
Yes.
For what?
Yes.
I also found out that the from that video you sent me that the budget for it coming from the 6 studios was like in today's currency like 9 to 11 billion yen.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it was super like they threw all they could at this movie, and right, and that's why the animation looks as good as it does. It sucks that like, and I'm sure it's funny because like the problems, it's one of those things where it's like the problems of today, you know, sometimes mirror the problems of yesterday, if that makes sense, right? I'm sure because the course of this video creating this movie anyway, the director of this movie is also the author of the manga, and he was finishing the manga as they were directing the movie. And so while this recognizes the source material also wasn't completely finished. So like it didn't really have like I don't want to say they were making shit up as they went, but like they didn't have a clear direction of where to go. So that's probably where all that muddleness from the middle of the movie comes from. But yeah, you know, that being said, I definitely think that like all the money they threw at this as far as animation goes, I think it's really good. It was really cool. We did watch the dub version of the movie. It's available now on Hulu. You can of course go up onto Hulu and watch it there. Yeah, no, I thought it was, you know, yeah, you know, right where the story is not great, animation's fantastic. Animation is absolutely fantastic. Do you want to do it? We can do a little bit more of a deeper dive. So like you want to kind of go get into it as far as like you had like questions and
I mean, it's questions that I'll never get the answer to for real. I mean, again, I kind of understand why the 3 old kids are now the 3 old kids, because they knew Akira when he was younger. They kind of just, I guess they somehow survived this long.
Yeah.
I would like more story as to how, when Akira blew up, what were the kids doing? Where were they at? Because they seem like they were all friends.
They were all together.
So, like, what the fuck happened there? How did they survive? But there's too many questions that I had about them. I mean, as soon as the movie was over, I called you and I was not happy at all.
Yeah.
Because even at the ending, like, I was expecting, like, more of, why did fucking, what's his name?
Kaneda?
Nope.
K?
Tetsuo, there it is. I keep saying like Toshi. I keep trying to say Toshi. But no, Tetsuo. Why the fuck did he turn into a big, why did he lose his power all of a sudden? Why did he turn into a big monster?
Well, I think the big monster portion, right? I think that is, you know, on the surface, right? They're just talking about not even like analyzing it from like, that's the one thing that I will say that I liked about that video that we watched, that I sent to you. And I can link that real quick. I'll link that in the chat here eventually. The one thing that I really did like about the oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. We're talking about okay, yeah. Not to like deep dive into it just yet. What up, Mike? What up, Kev? Not to deep dive it too much just yet. The transformation at the end of Tetsuo is a result of his body catching up to where his power is. Yeah. His power can't hold, like his body can't physically hold all of that power that's being stored within him. The big question that I have, that I want to know,
that strong though.
Thank you. Is why is Tetsuo so strong?
Who is he? Tetsuo?
Yes.
Who is Tetsuo?
Is there a background? Is there a connection? Is there a thing there? Like I don't.
Is he Akira's cousin somehow?
Yeah. Right. Why is Akira as strong as he is? Right. Because if all these kids are just kids that ended up with, you know, physical powers or psychotic, whatever you want to call it, psychic powers, why did they, you know, why is he as strong as he is?
Why is he as strong as?
But the one thing that
and answer questions.
That's what I was gonna say is the one thing that I did appreciate about this about that video that we watched, right? That kind of did that deep dive of the of this movie, or the kind of the analysis of this movie or whatever, is it talked about how it brought up a good point about how, like, you know, Western society versus Eastern society, right? And how in Western society, when you look at like sci-fi from our perspective, we kind of glamorize and kind of worship technology, if you will. Like technology is the answer for all of our problems. Like it gives us these cool abilities. We don't really see the repercussions, right? Whereas if you go back and you look at a lot of the animes from like a lot of the sci-fi animes from back during this time or whatever, with like your Evangelions, your like Akira, even Gundam, even your Gundams to an extent. It kind of deals with Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, right? I think Princess Mononoke is another one. But they deal with like the repercussions after of technology, right? Like what happens if technology gets too big, right? What happens if we get too far out there? If we do too many things, if we try to become God, how does that react and attack us, right? And a lot of that has to do with the fact that after World War II, like with the bombs dropping, that was like a fuck. Oh shit! This is what technology can do. This is what like advancements can do. And how do we grow from that? How do we change from that? Like how do we stand back up from that? So in that sense, I do think that Akira does do a pretty good job of telling kind of that story.
Because it's very good. If that's its purpose, it does a very good job of that.
Yeah. Kind of just showing like not post-apocalyptic, but showing the repercussions of a world post like horrible things happening. Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It kind of gave me a new light on anime in general. Like it's something that I've always like one of those things where you've always like see it and you kind of always notice it, but like at the same time it's also like, oh shit, like I didn't really put two and two together.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't notice it until I watched the video. That's kind of how we do ours. Or like we definitely do anything Americanized or Westernized, I guess. Is definitely we use technology for only our benefit. But like when you look at technology, for example, fucking like Code Geass, that's super far in the future. That's post like Britain taking over everybody. It's just a small example, but it's just one example of how they look at technology for the repercussion effects versus where it's at and everything,
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's again, I feel like I'm kind of being a dickhead about it when I say I don't want to shit on it too hard. But it's also, again, it was made in the 80s. So like, and now that you gave me that perspective to look at it from, I feel like I appreciate that movie a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when the dude was saying it, when he was like talking about it on the YouTube video, I mean, I kind of understood it. But I was also like, half in, half out of it.
Yeah.
Because I just got finished watching the movie itself and everything, and I was still asking myself so many questions. But now that I've had time to actually digest it, that's a very good point as to that I'm now able to make that connection. That's probably what the movie was trying to do.
Well, see, like, and that was one of the other things that I wanted to kind of like discuss with you, right? Is like, the idea that, we were just talking about how, and of course, it's kind of comparing apples to oranges, unfortunately, because I was gonna say, it's kind of the thing about the writing, the storytelling in something like Attack on Titan or even a Code Geass. You brought that up, a Code Geass or Attack on Titan, and compare it to like, this. You have, I say it's apples to oranges because you're comparing a TV show to a movie. So of course, naturally, in a TV show, you have more time to flesh out characters. You have more time to flesh out like, these things are all these different, things and everything. Whereas like in the 2-hour span that you have, you don't really, a 2-hour movie span, you don't really have that,
exactly
that luxury.
Yeah, you didn't really have time, but my problem with it in this movie was I didn't feel like I got a deep enough connection or a rollout of anyone's character. Normally in movies, you at least get like an in-depth, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen. I learned about fucking, what's his name? The main character. Not Itadori. The one in this movie, Zero. In Jujutsu Kaisen 0. What's his name? Yuta?
Yuta, yeah. Yuta. Otaka.
I learned about Yuta and his whole backstory. They at least gave me his, so that's why I was able to appreciate the story in that movie. Whereas this one, I don't. They try to tell me about Tetsuo and Kaida's fucking relationship like towards the end.
I was gonna say the problem is I think they do it too late.
They do it very late, and like by then I don't really give a fuck what's happening to the characters.
Yeah.
Like it was done at when you say very end, it meant it's like right before the end of everything.
Yeah.
Like I remember checking it when they were doing when he was having his flashbacks, there was 7 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
That's not including, and that's including the credits.
Yeah.
That was included. So that means there was like 2 minutes of movie left. I was like, why is it? That's why I checked. I was like, how much time do I have left? Because I was looking at fucking flashbacks and everything, and stuff was blowing up. I was like, how much time is left in this?
Which kind of like it's also really interesting because like you can kind of see that, you know, talking about it now, right? And we're talking about it kind of from the lens of a little bit of privilege, you know, if you will. English, like,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, say we're talking about this movie a little bit of a place from like privilege, right? Like we're in an era where, to me and you, anime is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Anime is pretty much otaku culture is literally all over the place, right? Like, and it's something that we're used to. So like, you know, of course, I'm losing my train of thought. Fuck. Yeah, no, I lost my train of thought. Well, what you gonna say? I'm sorry.
English teachers would have a fucking field day with this movie.
Yeah,
they would, because there's a lot of thematical stuff that you see in the movie itself. And I know for a fact, if I had to like write a book, I'd be so pissed if I had to write a book report on this thing, because I can't bring myself to watch it again. But
well, I feel like if you had to write a book report on it, right? Like I feel like there's a lot that you can, you know, pull from. You know, you can compare a lot of like what you can. There's like direct comparisons. The bomb and the Akira's explosion in the beginning of the movie is a direct comparison to the bombs being dropped, you know, at the end of World War II, right? Yep. And so like there's a lot of, and it's about like, you know, the Japanese like rebuilding after those bombs being dropped, you know, westernizing kind of and reshaping their life. And that's what, you know, you get the Neo Tokyo that is centered around capitalism, that is centered around
they also didn't explain why the riots were happening. Why were the riots happening?
Government, bro. Government.
What the fuck was the government doing?
But see, so okay, so that's my like, I got bad shit. They're corrupt.
They're corrupt. Another thematical thing you could have talked about though. There's like a lot of themes that they try to portray in this movie. There's like several themes that they had to portray in this movie, but they didn't really stick with one. Yeah. Outside, you know, the power of technology, the overall arching one, they just try to drop too many little themes in there as well, in my opinion. Yeah. They didn't really like ride with just the sole Hiroshima Nagasaki kind of like theme there. I feel like there's a better way to say that, but you know, for lack of better words, that theme.
Post World War II.
Yeah, you know, and I mean,
but that's what I was gonna say. So like we are talking about this place from we are talking about this kind of like from a place of privilege, right? What I was gonna say was this movie somewhat expects you to know something of the source material.
Exactly. It definitely
kind of expects you to understand something of the source material.
Have already read the actual like books.
But what's dope about it, right? But what's dope about it, and the reason why I say we speak from a place of privilege talking about this movie and why we can be so critical of it is because like this came out during a time where people weren't really like reading the source over here in Western culture anyway. We weren't really reading the source material like that. And it came out over here and it still slapped. It still slapped. And people were still banging with it.
I think the biggest part of that is the fact of its animation style. Yeah, I'm certain that's the reason why it did so well, because I can't give it to the story. I can't. But the fact that the animation was on it was so good. Again, this came out in '88, but I would have for sure thought this came out in the early 2000s. Yeah. Like if I were to have just watched it for the first time, if you didn't tell me beforehand that it came out in '88, I would definitely have assumed it came out in 2000s. I mean,
well, the 1988 in the beginning kind of gives it away too. So, you know.
I mean, yeah. Fucking what's it called?
How'd you feel about it?
Turning Red came out back in came out this year, but it said 03.
Right? How'd you feel about what was it? How'd you feel about it taking place in 2019?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Have you ever gone?
I was like, are we futuristic already? That's
damn, cool. we fancy as fuck.
That's pretty cool. I think it's Back to the Future. I think we're about to come up on. I think we passed it or we're coming up of the year for Back to the Future.
We passed it. We passed it
already.
Yeah, we passed it. I think it was
2001.
No, it was way later.
2021. I mean.
Yeah, I think it was 2021, something like that. I think it was either 2021 or no, it was before that. I think it was like 2015, 2016, something like that, somewhere around there. I don't know. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm obviously wrong.
Either way, again, it was a movie, I guess. For lack of better words. If you really enjoy anime and you want to see like how it all kind of started, and one of the first bangers, for lack of better words, again, of animation, definitely give it a watch. Because again, the animation style on it's very good. But if you're trying to watch it solely for the story, I would not recommend it personally.
Yeah, I definitely think there is some stuff here You can see a lot of you can see where a lot of like shows kind of take inspiration, from this, and the Rick and Morty episode with the Death Crystal specifically comes to mind because Jerry talks about he asked Rick if he turned Morty into an Akira.
Oh,
and that's where that's where that comes from. That's where that comes
sense.
from. Yeah, so that's 2015. Thanks, Ryan. That's where I was.
That makes sense now. I never thought about that connection.
Yeah.
So I heard the term Akira before. I couldn't remember where the fuck I could remember where I heard it from.
Yeah. So
it's the episode where Morty's going around downtown and fucking blowing shit
that's
up.
where yeah. I think the newscaster also brings it up, but Akira, like there's no like doubting like the cultural impact that it's had like over here. Like it's all over the place. It's all over the place around here, and even some of like the influences into like a lot of anime. It's the Neo Tokyo, the neon lights, all that kind of stuff. And
I mean, I'm also speaking again. I feel bad about saying the story so bad because we're also speaking from a like you said, a privileged standpoint.
Yeah.
Because we get what we get today. Of course, it's going to be leagues better. So, I mean, going back in time, looking at something from back then, it's going to be the same, or it's not going to be.
But see, that's interesting, right? Because, you say something like that. And if you had to compare, well, when did Spirited Away come out?
I know in the thousands.
2001. That's not really a fair.
How to compare Spirited Away and this?
Yeah.
I would give it to Spirited Away. Spirited Away story is fucking fantastic, and the animation of it's very beautiful. I followed the Spirited Away story and Howl's Moving Castle. Both of them.
Here we go. Have you ever seen Totoro? My Neighbor Totoro? Totoro.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've watched it, though. Why?
Totoro. Because that also came out in 88. So that also came out in 88, and that so that I would think that has similar storytelling. It has a similar like.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. Is
the storytelling better?
I mean, it's a more, if I remember right, it's been some years since I've seen it. If I remember right, it is more like of a slice of life kind of thing though, where they have the little spirit creatures. It's been some years. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I'm not going to try to like bullshit you, pull your leg or anything. Maybe that's what we do next.
No, I don't want to do another 88 movie.
Come on, bro. We can do Totoro next.
We'll go into the future and then we'll come back. We'll come back later one day.
All right. Maybe. Final thoughts, Mitch. I think you already said it.
I kind of did already say my final thoughts.
Let's say it again. What are you thinking about?
Story wise, not the best. Animation style, it's fantastic. For it to come out in 88, I give it a 7 out of 10. Give it a 7 out of 10. I can't give it any more than a 7 out of 10 because of the fact that I really did not like this. Like I had to force myself to finish the rest of that movie. And the fact that you yourself have seen already, I mean, you've already seen it too. You stopped several times to like watch it. If I'm really into something, I'll continue to watch it like all the way straight through. And for a movie at that, I've had series where I've stopped every now and again after like 2 or 3 episodes. But I don't think I've ever had a movie where I've stopped and had to come back to this much. And like, it's just, it took a lot to watch it.
Yeah.
It took a lot to watch it.
Well, I think, so this is what I'm thinking, right? And I'm actually kind of vibing with how we're doing this, right? I like the idea of, trying to kind of expand your horizons as far as older animes and some other ones that you wouldn't have watched. And kind of having a conversation on what your take is on it, because I think your take is pretty interesting. Is there one that comes to mind specifically next for us to do?
None off the top of the head. Right now, all I've been watching is Misfit of Demon Academy. So that show's fucking banger.
Misfit of Demon Academy. Chat. Does anybody have anything in chat that they want us to watch?
I should. If you guys haven't seen Misfit of Demon Academy, watch that. It's pretty fucking fire.
Let me do this real quick.
What's up?
Personally, I think Akira is good, right? It's got a lot of like, I'm gonna give my just quick review, obviously. It's got a lot of muddled pieces in the middle, but I do think it has a really solid start and a really solid ending. The overall theme, I think it nails. But like we said before, the middle is definitely kind of a muddled, jumbled mess. I think if you are trying to be a not connoisseur, but you would like to see where things came from, I think Akira is definitely worth you sitting down.
Using the scenario.
You said what?
Connoisseur is not a terrible word using the scenario.
Right, like a connoisseur or historian, or historian of anime. Yeah,
so, I mean, you're kind of getting the general grasp of where anime started, especially in the Western culture.
Yeah. If you're trying to get that vibe or want to gain some of that knowledge, I definitely think it's worth the watch. Again, it's available on Hulu and everything. You do see a lot of you see where a lot of the influences for some of your favorite shows come from. Maybe not necessarily story wise, but animation wise, you do get to see that. Sure. So I'd have to agree with Mitch, probably about a 7 out of 10. So definitely go, if you haven't already, go watch Akira on Hulu. So now we can roll in and transition into what we want to watch next. I don't have anything that immediately pops out. I know there are a bunch of like Ghibli films that I haven't seen.
Are we doing something new? You want to do something new? You're trying to do?
It doesn't matter. It could be new, it could be old. Is there anything immediate that comes to mind that's new?
Well, no, nothing new.
Nothing new.
Part of me wants to watch Howl's Moving Castle again. That was a good movie.
You want to do Howl's Moving Castle?
We can do that one.
Okay. There it is. Next week. Next week, we're talking Howl's Moving Castle on top of Attack on Titan and everything else.
Before we confirm that officially, can we make sure that's available on YouTube or on Hulu?
It is on HBO Max. I know that for sure.
All right, I'll borrow yours then.
Let me double check before I say it's for sure. HBO Max.
Yeah. I started watching what's it called? The Misfit of Demon Academy, because they compared the main character to Rimuru from the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Rimuru was powerful as a bitch. And the main character in Misfit Demon Academy, he's like the previous demon king who was he died 2,000 years ago and was reincarnated now. And he is strong as fuck. And I am a sucker for a good OP main character. Okay. So I have thoroughly enjoyed watching him just go around whooping the absolute shit out of people.
Hold that thought. It is available on HBO Max. So let's lock it in.
Cool.
Next week's movie is going to be Howl's Moving Castle. That is the 2004 Studio Ghibli film. If you guys haven't already, or if you have HBO Max, or if you have it, go watch it. And come back and let us know what your thoughts are. Now let's roll into what we're watching, Mitch. What you said you're watching Misfit Demon Academy?
Fucking.
Anything else? No,
I've literally just been watching that. I mean, it's only been a week, and I've been kind of just engulfed. I've been outside when I get free time. That's when I start watching it. It's only 12 episodes, I think, right now.
Yeah,
I think it's only 12 episodes. They're in makes for a second season right now.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure it came out last year, so I think it did. But yeah, it's I like it a lot, dude. I mean,
solid story. Is it a solid story, or is it one of those stories where it's like you're kind of the story's in the background, but you're really just watching the action happen?
The story's it's a very good story.
Okay, I
like the story because it does a lot of them going to the past and connecting the past characters to like the reincarnated versions now.
Okay,
yeah, but I have enjoyed the story thus far. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else to explain in terms of that. The action scenes are also very good. I mean, there's a lot of fighting, and there's a lot of pretty much just him showing up, motherfuckers. Pretty much what it is. So that's why I really enjoy it. I don't know. I like to just see the fruits of the work without having to watch them go through it.
That instant gratification type shit.
The instant gratification is definitely what it is. Instead of having to sit there and watch, if we could just jump, if I could have just watched Naruto's efforts at the end of Shippuden.
Yeah, if I could just see Naruto already have the fucking
which explains as to why I have such a hard time with One Piece. Because I had to watch Luffy get his ass beat repeatedly. That's fair.
You bring up One Piece. We do have a bit of a news from One Piece. Before we get into that, though, I'll talk about what I'm watching at the current moment in time. Wrapped up on Wednesday last week. Wrapped up Onohana with Celinda. I talked about this. I think I talked about this on Friday with Dalton, but I'm bringing it up again. This is our anime hour. Watched Onohana with Celinda. I'm really getting into. I think I'm really going to start getting into like slice of life type shit, bro. I think I'm at the point now where I can start to like kind of appreciate them and really kind of like dive into it. Onohana, I think I've talked to you about this before, but it's essentially a story about a little girl who dies in the beginning, and it's about she was with a group of friends, or she has a group of friends that all dealt with her death because they were like 8. They were all like 8 or 9 when they all dealt with her death differently, right? Like 2 of the kids became super book smart, right? They like shoved their heads in the books. They only focused on that, right? One of them tried to become like the popular girl, to try to like, take her mind off of everything else. And the main character, Jintan, he ends up becoming a recluse and kind of just like keeps to himself and doesn't go to school, hasn't been going to school, hasn't been working, hasn't been doing anything in his life because, he just was so devastated by, what happened. It's 12 episodes. It's available on Netflix. Where's
Crunchyroll.
Okay.
I've been watching on Crunchyroll.
Misfit Academy is available on Crunchyroll.
The Misfit of Demon Academy.
The Misfit of Demon Academy. There you go. And then Onohana is available on Netflix. It's 12 episodes long. It is. They do have a dub and sub.
I feel like one problem you would have with Misfit of Demon Academy is that they will not accept him as the reincarnated version of the Demon King.
Oh no, I like that.
Even though he whoops the fuck out of everybody, and like
you know what you need to watch? You need to watch on Hulu? It's called Chivalry of a Failed Knight.
I've heard that. Chivalry of a Failed Knight. That's probably my next one. That's probably gonna end up being my next one because I'm what is it called? Someone on TikTok did a review of it. I didn't like their review, so I was like, all right, maybe I'll come back to this like on a later date.
Yeah,
but based off what you're saying, if that's what it's like, where like they clown his ass and he's a lot stronger than whatever.
It's a very similar concept where like everybody else around him it's similar to Asta's story. Everybody else around him has the ability to tap into like these different magical gifts. He can't tap into the magical gifts.
Don't they make all they make swords from like nothing or something like that? What is it?
I think so. I think so if I remember correctly. But no, Onohana, it's on Netflix. Go watch that. Yeah, it's really good, man. It was really, really emotional. Like I wasn't expecting the ending to like hit me in the feels as hard as it did. Because I don't want to say everybody's gone through grief, right? But everybody that has gone through grief has dealt with grief differently. And I feel like the show does a really good job of kind of covering all bases, right? And kind of showing you that like, hey, there is a brighter side. Like there is another side at the end of the tunnel. Right. You have to, but you have to be willing to move on from it. Right. And like, you're not always going to get it right. But as long as you're trying to get it right, you'll get it right. Like that's the key to getting
fair enough. Yeah.
Through your grief is that like, you will never really get over it. But as long as you're working to try to work through it, it'll get easier. And then of course, we're watching Death Note and Death Note, man. Like I said, Celinda said the same thing. Celinda said the same thing that you said about the second half that I feel like everybody says.
You don't give a fuck about it really. I mean, again,
but what's crazy,
Death Note
right?
Itself is a fucking fantastic anime, but just the back half of it after L dies. Spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet, it's kind of on you. But after he dies, like I don't really give a fuck about it because
we definitely didn't. It's all good.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense because. What you said, they have to find or Light got to the point to where no one could stop him. At least he thought no one could stop him because he had all this stuff going for him. Yeah. So it makes sense for him to eventually trip up. So what's crazy sense why that happens.
But see, what's crazy though about it, right, is that and again, like what you said, spoilers for spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. He gave a big major one already.
RGG spoiler alert system warning you that spoilers are incoming.
Anyway,
you have been warned.
Anyway. My problem with it, right, is I get that, and like I know that I said that, but actually watching it kind of feels like the writing is a little too absurd.
How so?
Like his personality, I feel, and maybe Light has always kind of been egotistical in the show. And it's kind of always been there. But like I feel as though his personality after part 1 and then before part 1 kind of do a complete like 180.
It does. It gets overly cocky.
And it's so much so that it's like Light, like I said, Light's always kind of been cocky, but like I felt like he was a calculated cocky. He was a calculated cocky.
He just completely forgets the calculated part in the second half. He just.
And I feel like the major part, right? Like when like the major scene when they lose the or they're trying to go back and get the other Death Note.
Yeah.
They're trying to get back the original Death Note, and he completely forgets, like, or shit. Even after L dies, like he completely forgets that there's a whole other part of the world.
Yeah, bro.
That like is also searching for him. Like the Japanese task force was not the only task force that was fucking looking for him.
Yeah, no. You knew the FBI was literally on your ass. They had people.
Yeah, the FBI came to you in the beginning of this. Yeah.
How did you feel about that, bro?
Like I
feel and that's why I have all the problems with it, dude. There's so many little things in the second half that you can just like nitpick on that it kind of fucked it up for me. Yeah. But again, I would still recommend Death Note The Day I Died just for the first half, dude. I fucking love watching from the beginning to where L
Light
and L's fucking battle back and forth the entire especially if it's your first time watching it, dude. That's a fucking fantastic fucking game of chess, dude. It's so good. I loved watching it.
Even the final, like the kind of final episode before the inevitable like conclusion, right? Like that episode is really good where like the entire time L kind of knows what's up.
He knows.
He knows what's up.
He can tell he's about to die. He can like they do a great scene. I love the scene where he's outside next to the bell,
roof.
And it's raining. Yeah, I love that scene, dude. That's
the bells are louder today.
Yeah. And he just fucking. There's so much. Death Note is one anime that I've watched for the story, and that's probably one of my favorite stories in all anime.
Yeah.
They do a very good job. That's the only time where I've actually like looked at the theme of an anime. I was like, I'll fuck with that. You know?
Yeah.
Look at the smaller bits and pieces of it and everything. So.
But no, I'm watching that. Getting ready to wrap that up with Celinda here. And then I want to watch the Ranking of Kings. I think I brought this up a couple times.
Heard that one's also very good. We can watch it. So if you want to do a series, we'll do that one.
Okay.
We'll do that one. So you haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Because I've heard good things about Ranking of Kings.
Okay. So TikTok, do we want to switch out Hal for let's keep Hal for right now.
We can keep Hal for right now.
Let's push Ranking of the Kings to the following week.
That's fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, I want us to be able to like
from now until next week. From now until next week I can watch some Chivalry of the Night after I watch Chivalry of the Night after I watch Misfits. I only have a couple more episodes on that.
Yeah. Jeremy asked in the chat, have you seen World Trigger? I have not seen World Trigger. I've started World Trigger like 3 times, and every single time I start it, that's my problem. That's my problem with a lot of shows, Mitch. If you don't grab me in like the first,
you have to, dude.
Like first 4 minutes of the show.
The best way to grab me, a quick step. All you need.
Oh yeah, dude. Quick step, bro.
Quick step has me at least 3 episodes.
What doesn't get me is the bright shiny light. The world is blah blah blah. It's been blah blah. Like that does not pull me in. That does not pull me in. And
like if the show, have you seen the show Plunder?
You said what?
Have you seen the show Plunder?
That's
a good show too. It's a very good action anime.
Okay.
What's it called?
We've got a list of things to do. We'll compile a list, and then like what we can do is after we watch it, we'll just scratch them off and then like pull from the list or whatever.
All right.
So next week, guys. Watch Howl's Moving Castle. If you want to be a part of the conversation, feel free to watch that and leave some comments and all that good stuff. And let us know, let us know what you think of Howl's Moving Castle. Let us know.
Maybe if you really want to hop in Discord one of these times and have a conversation with us about it. Like if we're talking about how next week, if you really want to talk to us about Howl's Moving Castle, you want to talk to us in person on stream.
We could do like a chat jump in section.
Yeah, if anybody really wants, if we ever say a movie or a show that like you really fucking love and you really want to talk about it with somebody, just let us know, and then hop in one of these one day.
Yeah. So, but until next time, guys. This is for the YouTube guys. Thanks for watching. Like I said, leave a comment, subscribe, like all that good stuff. This has been another one of your regular anime guys weekly anime discussion. We reviewed Akira. Talked about some other things.
I think it was a very solid flow.
This was really good. I liked it. Thanks, man.
Very good
Thanks,
solid
man.
flow this
I'm
week.
glad. Hey, good job on you too. Good job for you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Thanks.